Well, I guess staying on the American League here, we can go into the 3-6 matchup with the Minnesota Twins and the Toronto Blue Jays. Wayne, what are you seeing?
I mean, I was kind of like on the Twins bandwagon a little bit, but then I had to recall that the Twins are on an 18 game playoff losing streak. And part of me is like,
Wow.
yeah, I know. Is that gonna? Because I mean, I was like, this is a really good Twins team. Like they got solid pitching. They got a solid bullpen, and like they have several starters that which in playoff baseball that's usually good for some. In case the starter doesn't have the best start to their game, they can have a starter that goes in there, pitches like 3-4 innings of shutout baseball. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of like went back and forth on this a little bit, and I also have to recall that the Blue Jays also have one of the best pitching teams out there as well. One of the better bullpens, and then also like one of the better. I think they led the league in ERA, or one of the top. I think it was like them and the Brewers were like kind of battling for the ERA league title there. So, and then yeah, they do have some boppers out there as well. So this one was tough. This one was tough. I think the idea for me and my rationale. This was like 5 minutes before we started shooting here, but I think that Carlos Correa and Royce Lewis, right? I think both of them have been a little hurt, but they're anticipated to play in the playoffs. I think maybe they go off, come on in a slow start. Maybe they don't hit as well. Carlos Correa usually hasn't hit that well in the playoffs. He has had his clutch homers here and there for sure, but over 3-game series, that's where again against a pitching staff that has the lowest ERA in baseball, like it's kind of hard for me to picture Carlos Correa kind of going off there, especially after the injuries there. So and yeah, this is one of the hottest teams in baseball as well, I believe. So I'm kind of going against the hot team kind of coming in there, and kind of going with the historical trends here. So I'm going to take the Blue Jays here, winning 2-1. Again, I changed this like back and forth like a bunch, but yeah, I'm going to go stick with my guns here. Blue Jays 2-1. With some kind of maybe they win the first game, and then the Twins are able to scrap in some runs, win the second, and then yeah, I think that eventually time just runs out for the Twins here. But man, this was such a hard one. Went back and forth a bunch. I really like this Twins team, but Pat, what do you think?
Yeah. I'm thinking about the offense for the Twins. I mean, there's so many question marks, like you said, with Royce Lewis, Correa. They won't have Joey Gallo, Buxton. We're not really sure. Like, there's a lot of holes there, and I just don't know if they have enough hitting to fill it. That said, I mean, looking at the Blue Jays rotation, some really great professional pitchers there. I don't know if one stands out as being like truly dominant. I think Gausman's probably the closest thing they have to like a dominant starter. But I think that like Bassett, Barrios, Ryu, Kikuchi, depending on what mix they go with, I would probably think they go Bassett, Barrios. But like those guys, they had up and down seasons. I mean, they had really good counting stats when it was all said and done, but those are guys that can get attacked if they're not on their best games. But I don't know. I mean, I guess looking at it, I mean, Toronto overall is becoming a team that is once kind of known like perennially just for their hitting. I think they completely shifted mindsets this year. I think with that shift, I mean, they ended up with the top defense in the league by most advanced metrics. Pitching wise, top 4 in the league. I think they also have a pretty solid back end of their bullpen with Romano, Maiza, and Swanson. So it's like if any of these starters happen to go 5 or 6, I think they can like truly trust the guys behind them, which is a really good thing for Toronto. And they actually took like a little bit of a hit in their like offense this year. I mean, they were middle of the league, but you go down the list of guys in that lineup and you're like, they were middle of the league. You got Vlad and
Yeah.
Bichette and Whit Merrifield's still a player. George Springer, obviously. Matt Chapman had a bounce back year. So, like, there's a lot of veteran talent there. If Minnesota was fully healthy, and everything else was kind of held equal, like I would think this is a much more competitive series. I really do like Minnesota's starting staff. I think when you look at Minnesota's staff versus Toronto's, it's a coin flip to me. Like you could pick either staff in terms of like a 1-5, in my opinion. But yeah, I just think there's too many holes there for Minnesota in the offense. I don't know what to really expect. Like, is Royce Lewis going to be a DH? If so, does that mean Buxton's not playing? Will Correa be healthy and hitting? For the playoffs, he's kind of fallen off a little bit in the last couple of years too, just in terms of production. So, I know he's a big playoff guy, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to like look down the paper and be like, I can trust, Edward Julian to be our best hitter, Max Kepler to be the guy driving him in, and what else. So, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
with that, respect enough for the Twins. I mean, still an 88 win, division winners is kind of light, but Toronto kind of faltered a little bit to get, into that 6th seed and kind of get into the playoffs. So like for both these teams, I'm not like, feeling like they have this burning drive, but like you said, with the playoffs, you throw the regular season out the window and it's like, hey, it just all starts now. And, still Toronto is a team we picked to go pretty far this year. So I'm going to stick with them. And I think they win this one 2-0.
Yeah. Oh, okay. 2-0. I mean, hey, I was going to give the, 1 over to the Twins there, but I mean, yeah, we don't know exactly what we're going to get from Royce Lewis and Carlos Correa coming back here, and Byron Buxton. Like it sounds like he might not be able to make it in there. They're definitely going to have a debate on, whose roster spot. Like, do they want, Cody Funderburk or somebody like that, who had a kind of a light out performance there out of the bullpen there, and would be nice to have that lefty, kind of to have their, just in case. So, but yeah, this Twins team overall, like this is a great season to kind of build off of going to next season, and a lot of young talent making a splash here. And yeah, I'm anticipating Royce Lewis is probably going to be like maybe the DH there, especially if Byron Buxton isn't going to be the person. And probably have like Jorge Polanco, who very formidable, like middle infielder normally. Yeah, I think he can play third base. So we'll just have to see how they manufacture that lineup. But yeah, for me, I do like how you mentioned that. Wait, isn't this Blue Jays team supposed to be like just a bunch of sluggers, and all of a sudden like, wow, they really flipped the switch here. Like George Springer had like one of his worst seasons in a while, and everybody kind of like, I don't think did they have a 30 homer hitter or something? I don't think they did. I think it was just a bunch of 20.
No.
Yeah, that's hard to believe.
Yeah.
That's hard to believe. Yeah. So yeah.
I mean, if you look at Vlad's, yeah. No, I was going to say, if you look at Vlad's numbers, you're like, he had like 260 with like a 340 OBP, 26 homers, 90 RBIs. It's like, that's all good and well, but like, that's not Vlad Guerrero. And Bichette also just didn't have, like, I think he in the past has been like a 30, 40 home run guy. And again, like in the 20s for home runs, but had a really good batting average. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, I'm fine with that. I mean, I'm fine with it. The defense, obviously one of the best in the league. Like they made that trade to bring over Varsho and Kiermaier to kind of shore up some defense. I think they've prioritized that. Alejandro Kirk more or less like hit the bench a lot for Danny Jansen and others to play catcher. So it's like, I'm cool with that. Like you realize just trying to load up on hitting like wasn't going to get you, to the mountaintop. So like, yeah, like edit yourself a little bit and see what you come back with. But yeah, I just figured they'd have a better year. Like I thought they'd be, winning the division or, just really, going that extra mile this year. And it's like they just kind of barely scrapped their way into the playoffs, and it's like they could have easily missed out. So I don't know, man. It's just like hard to know what they'll be.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, who knows exactly, but at the same time, when you got that talent, like yeah, everybody's batting stats are 0-0, right? So we'll just have to see how this kind of all plays out here. I know that's kind of just how it is, but yeah, two talented teams I think that we have here. But yeah, one I think with the Blue Jays, they're just a little bit fresher, not as many injuries kind of stacking against them here. So yeah, for me, I'm picking Blue Jays 2-1, but you sound pretty confident that they'll go 2-0 here. So that's all good there.
Yeah, just too many question marks with the Twins. I think, when you don't have your main guys, it's just like a feeling of like I think they'll lack a little bit of confidence. Like if you're not with your best players going in, I think that definitely can rock teams that aren't battle tested, that haven't been there before as much. Like this Twins team, this iteration hasn't been there that much. So it's
Yeah.
we'll just have to see what they come with.
So you're predicting not or was it now, since it was 18-0 or 0-18 playoff streak, right? It's going to be 20-0. Yeah. So all right, how about that?
Keep it going. Keep it going,
Keep it
Minnesota.
going.
We're proud of you. We're proud of you. We're proud of you, kids. Keep it going.
Yeah, keep it classy. Sounds good.